Good morning, folks, and welcome to today's school board workshop. And colleagues, as usual, we'll just go through every item on the agenda. If you have a question, 25 Kids Tag Art Program winners, presented by Mr. Ben Anderson, Okaloosa County Tax Collector. Then 3.2, recognition of Conley Grell of Destin Middle School, first place in the state of Florida, in the Daughters of the American Revolution Annual American History Essay Contest, presented by Superintendent Chambers. Then Section 6.1, Northwest Florida State College Collegiate High School, a charter school and restricted fund of Northwest Florida State College financial statements and supplemental information for the year ended June 30th, 2024 and 2023. Then we move to Section 7, Consent Agenda. First will be 7.1, the approval of the consent agenda. 7.2 is the approval of the minutes of the student disciplinary hearing of April 28, 2025. Minutes of 5 presented by Ms. Perry and recommended by the superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on that.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Perry, what is our FTE reserve? Because I see some of that's coming out of our reserve.
Yes, sir. After that, I still have almost $3 million. I normally keep between 2.5, 3 million. I had set aside enough money because the state had over scholarships based on their projections. So between all of that, we were able to cover it.
Do we have a policy in our district on the is it a percentage of FTE reserve you try to keep, or?
No, there's no policy. That's just kind of a rule of thumb based on 20 years
history, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. By Ms. Perry and recommended by the superintendent. 7.6, school donations presented by Ms. Perry, recommended by the superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment on that. We're up $500. So the donations that come under $500 don't even register on that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Good point. Thank you, sir.
And Dr. White.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chambers.
If you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
If I go back to 7.3.
7.3. Okay, that I thought there might be some more about that. Go ahead.
And based on that question, and this is just an example, when you look at our budget that we're paying back the 17.9 million, that 17.9 million comes to us, that's part of our budget, so it looks as though that's money for the school district when in actuality it is not. So this is just the example where now that 17.9 is being pulled back, and so that amount of money, again, that's incorporated within our budget is truly not.
Voucher program, correct?
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure that for the YouTube audience out there, because that's a little confusing to our constituents. And it's money we don't get. We're a pass-through entity for that money.
And the reality is of the number of vouchers that go out, have never attended Okaloosa schools.
That's a lot of money.
And I appreciate the clarification, Superintendent, because and Mr. Heinley too, because they list it as it would show as a positive on our budget, but it's moved out.
That don't actually attend Okaloosa. Do we have a number range there?
Yes, and Mr. Spolsky, make sure I say this correctly, or rather than making sure I say it correctly, just of that 2,400 this year, how many actually were in our schools?
The numbers that I looked at last week, Mr. Bryant, 2643 was the number that we had calculated to 1,900. That's the difference. And so Ms. Perry, her staff, Ms. Meserve, my staff are looking closely at those numbers so that we can provide our superintendent and talk to the FADS leaders and to the different people who are working on this. I will tell you briefly and then sit down, sir, that.
And I'll just speak for me. You know, I'm all for parental choice, and they can make the decisions that they would like for their children. But one of the things that we've asked is for the Family Empowerment Scholarship dollars to not be a part of the FEFP, to not be a part of that formula. When you look at 1,800 students.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Don't even, just keep us out of it.
But that's how they show the increase. Yeah, I mean.
Because it makes them look good,
Yeah,
but it's a detriment to us.
right.
Chairman, can I hit it? 440,000 is a lot, and we've still got a little bit of time left in the fiscal year. It's really remarkable how much this community really does put its arms around our schools. And 46,000 of it came from basically the PTO over at Destin Middle, trying to get them clear touches, which is what we're trying to do all the time. And so need.
Yep.
Mr. Destin, I agree with your intent totally, but I want to change your verbiage a little bit. It's not the state's children, it's the children in the state.
All right. Okay, so it's presented by Mr. Wyndham and recommended by the superintendent. 7.8, exempted purchase over $50,000 to HMH Education Company, presented by Mr. Wyndham and recommended by the superintendent. 7.9, exempted purchase over $50,000 Curriculum Associates, presented by Mr. Wyndham, and 42, Savas Learning Company, presented by Mr. Wyndham and recommended by the superintendent. 7.11, agreement between the School Board of Okaloosa County and Aramark Education Services to provide services related to the award of RFP 25-01 School Food Service Management Operations, presented by Mr. Wyndham and recommended by the superintendent.
Dr. White, can I ask Mr. Meyer a quick question regarding food services that are still employees of the school district? The transition from Nutrition Group to Aramark, are all those employees going to be offered jobs basically to stay? Is that how the transition's going to be?
Yes, sir. So if they're district employees, they'll remain district employees.
Right.
If they're T&G employees, this week and the first week of June, Aramark.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And while you're there, Mr. Meyer, this is a one-year contract renewable for 4 years?
Is Vince here? That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, 7.12, Dr. Smith, and recommended by the superintendent. 7.13, Carl Perkins Post-Secondary Entitlement Grant for the 25-26 school year by Mr. John Williams, Director, Okaloosa Technical College, and recommended by the superintendent. 7.14.
It is a federally grant that flows through the state of Florida at the University of Central Florida for persons with disabilities. That terminology is now unique ability students. And so these students are adults. They have to have graduated from high school. In most cases, they've graduated in county from varying exceptionality programs. 40, 50-year-old, adult students with unique abilities that are just seeking employment and the dignity of a great job. And so we're able to provide that to them. In the past, those students still came to our college, but we weren't necessarily able to provide them the services and support. This grant provides all of that support, and they do so.
Okay.
We've already been through 3 good years with this program.
Good, excellent.
And you also have a graduation coming up too, correct?
We do, yeah. We graduate them each semester like
Right.
we do some of our other programs. So this is a pretty heavy graduating class for that program. There'll be several.
Yep.
Yeah.
So while you're there, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So 713, 714, 716, these are all the grants coming from federal.
Secondary program with Miss Beasley, but it's similar to our post-secondary grant. So there are 2 different ones for the Carl Perkins grant, one for secondary, one for post-secondary.
And your one is specifically has some federal money coming in, and those are guaranteed.
We got to meet it.
Yeah, there's the advisory panel component, correct, Mr. Williams?
Correct.
So I've known John since high school, and we were both at Fort Walton, and we've been friends ever since. And he got me before even I knew I was interested in running for school board, and got the restaurants and the ice cream shop involved in the advisory component of the program, make sure that they're meeting all of their metrics, and I can't say enough good things. Those kids are remarkable. But yeah, there are hoops that you got to jump through, but I couldn't be more thrilled that we have this in Okaloosa County, and to even be affiliated at the level I'm at. I love going to those things. Those kids are awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Dollars that have already started to flow in for next year's budget, such as Title I as well.
All right. 7.15, IT Seat Management Outsourcing Agreement, Contract Modification Change Order Number 1, presented by Mr. Mitchell and recommended by. 7.16, Carl Perkins Secondary Entitlement Grant for fiscal year 25-26, presented by Ms. Jennifer Beasley, Program Director, CTE, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. All right, that takes us through the consent and moves us into Section 8, Superintendent's Human Resources Information Only Deferred Retirement Option Program, presented by Dr. Hale. And then 8.3, Out of Field Report for the 24-25 school year, presented by Ms. Duron and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. 8.4, Department Staffing Restructure Curriculum, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
Hiring specialists, 20% of the funding was Title IX funding. And the director coming in to replace that, is there not Title IX funding for that? Do we have any idea?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Just curious.
Okay. Anything further on that one?
Any new positions? This is just shifting around some people, and as we mentioned, we have an employee retiring and allows us to make that change.
So it'll be a new position for the next year, offset by a
Yes.
position that's already there.
Right.
There'll be no impact to this year's budget. It'll be a part of next year's budget, and this does what we've done in the past. It allows us to have someone in place with your approval so they can start in June.
Right.
Is the actual savings over $3,000?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. All right, 8.5, Employment Separations, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the Superintendent. 8.6, Personnel Recommendations, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the Superintendent. 8.7, Employee Transfers, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the Superintendent. And then 8.8, Employee Suspension, presented by Dr. Hale, and Medical Examination, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the Superintendent. And then 8.10, Leave Without Pay, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the Superintendent. No items on discussion at this time. Section 10, Construction Program Owners, Representatives, Business. And 10.1 is a report, sir, Mr. Heinley.
We will have our construction meeting today at 11 a.m. and we'll report tonight in the regular meeting.
All right, very good. Thank you. Remember that 10.2 and 10.3 are deleted, and that brings us to Section 11, our attorney. Your business, sir.
One item, Mr. Chair, 10 a.m., and that is to review a matter of pending litigation, which is case number 2023 CA 1313. It's FSBIT claim number AL 460-56087.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anything else?
That was 8:15.
8:15 on May the 27th.
You keep creeping earlier and earlier for us.
Well, we have a disciplinary here.
Might as well be at 7.
Y'all don't forget, school some places starts at 7.
Ooh.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Attorney?
No, sir, thank you.
All right. Superintendent's business, out-of-state student field trip request, and then anything else you might have today, sir.
Thank you, Dr. White. School Board, I have a few announcements as well. Just want to give a reminder to the school board and to those who may be watching, it's graduation season. We actually kick off our school district-run schools on Friday, May 16th with Richburg, and then we conclude on the 23rd with Crestview and Fort Walton Beach High School. So, as you know, very exciting time for our seniors and their ceremony. That's always a great ceremony for those students to be awarded a full scholarship for 2 years. So that's exciting. And then tomorrow, one of the best events that we have in the school district are Cox Inspirational Student Hero Awards, seeing how students have overcome. And that's that one at times can be a little bit of a tear jerker. I just want to thank our school board and our students on the student roundtable. And I'll just speak for myself. I thought they were extremely enlightening. I say all the time that, you know, sometimes it's almost a catchphrase that people say sometimes that if today's youth, if they're going to be our leaders, we're in trouble. I'd say if today's youth, if they're our leaders, we're in great hands. So pieces that they brought up from budget to school start times to extracurriculars, For students to bring up budget and have an interest in it and how things are funded, I thought was pretty incredible. How they brought up facilities and understanding of the half-cent sales tax, and then learning more about capital budgets, I thought was impressive. So again, I just appreciate our high schools for setting that up for us. When you whispered that,
It was during COVID, so it was that first spring that we were in the COVID mode. So what was that, 20? So going
right
on
around there.
five or six times we've done. I'd like to, I know that you had, excuse me, Ms. Card take some notes. I'd be very interested, and maybe other board, in knowing maybe a list of the 10 or 12 items and how it compares to whether it's in the district. But at some time when it's convenient, I'd love to see that compiled list of the overall general topics that the students came up with.
absolutely. So Catherine and Hillary diligently took notes during that time. Friday was our last school with Niceville, so we'll get that compiled, and we make sure that we'll get levels that have, I should say, some schools within grade levels that have fully tested, but no one is completely done yet. But a lot of testing has occurred. We are, the beauty of the testing now is you can track it along the way. So Joe Pete is tracking data every day. So it's fun to watch. Okay. So more to come on that. I do want to say, with the budget, this is probably I'll use the word historic, and I could be wrong, but I think this is a historic budget season session. Right now, in terms of where we are, is a couple things, and I'm just going to kind of look at this and read it because it's changed. It was supposed to come back today and then end on June 6th, and usually it takes 8 to 10 days to formulate a budget, but some of that is changing. So right now, the final budget, it's not necessarily ready for consideration at this time. And I think there are some conversations between the House Speaker and the Senate President. So where it was supposed to be done by June 2nd, school districts across the state, and I'm not going to say that's 67 out of 67, but of course, they get their staffing patterns out there, so HR can do their piece, finance can do their piece, and of course, those schools can be prepared for the start of school. If nothing happened until June 30th, schools would be in an interesting race to start the 25-26 school year. I'm very happy for the work that Julie and our senior staff has done. It's the state. There's some school districts that have already started negotiating. We were prepared to start at the beginning of June, and we'll have to see where that lies. But things are in flux. But I have confidence that we'll get all
July and
the last board meeting in July. Usually.
So I'm sure the state has a deadline that we have to do that, right? And what is that, please?
So the state's deadline for the next year's budget, in essence, would be June 30th.
But I mean, you know how we continue to go through and then we do the final? We must have a deadline that we have to submit that to the state, what we're doing.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The state is supposed to, we have to do the preliminary and tentative budget at that end of July meeting, but that means we have to be able to advertise the budget even before that. So around the middle of July, we've got to start hitting all of our deadlines for.
This board and this district has to meet those, we have to meet those deadlines. I just want the public to know that if they move this out to June 30th, what position it puts us in and truly knowing how to make a budget for our school district. So I'm just going to state that out, that I think it's ridiculous that they hold us off this much. It puts us in a lot of turmoil, and I just want it publicly known that this is not anything that's our district or this board, that we're ready, and we're going, and as you said, Superintendent, and as always happened, this board and this, because it may not come out in the general media, the position this is putting us in.
And if I could just follow up,
Please
Ms. Vanchek, and certainly I concur with your statements, and I'd just like to express appreciation to the superintendent and his staff, because in light of not having those budget numbers. You are preparing a budget into the state budget, and I appreciate your efforts in preparing a conservative budget in anticipation of what may prevail in Tallahassee that will affect us. And I appreciate your forthrightness on that. I appreciate your phone calls and sharing that information. And Superintendent, I appreciate you directing your staff to produce that budget. I'll just say, though, you may want to have one or two others in pencil somewhere else, because whenever Tallahassee, whenever they meet, well, we just don't know.
We get.
And I would say, Dr. White, to your point, and the board knows, we've been working on this budget for months. I think we were at a point where we thought where we thought maybe the budget would be, and I think some adjustments have been made, so therefore we've adjusted accordingly. And to your point, in terms of if there are any adjustments going forward as we get to June 6th or June 30th, we do have other lists of items to be prepared. But right now, I'm proud of our senior staff, finance, also working with schools on different topics to get some input as well, to be budget season.
Yep. All right. Anything else, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Sunspra.
Yes.
Sunspra. Silver Award in Digital Media and Publications. But now that I'm reading that does not sound for Sunspra. But Sunshine State School Public Relations Association. So basically kind of leading to what we do on the communication side. As you know, we had the annual report that we prepared last year. So as you know, BitWizards partnered with us. BitWizards won an award for that publication. And now on the school-related side, we won a silver award. We also had Mrs. Demers, who plays a strong role in that, getting all the pictures and all the animations, and then Ms. Card working with district staff and others and BitWizards to get all that together. So that's a great recognition for our communications department and for the school district. And they did such a good job. They're preparing this year's annual report right now. That will be going to BitWizards in terms of highlighting all the things that happened this school year. I want Mr. Meyer to come up. So transportation, I take the school board back to about 5 years ago. We had the oldest bus fleet in the state of Florida. And I used to say we didn't want to be number one in that. And so Mr. Meyer's been over that department for a good amount of time. As you know, Mr. Gore has now stepped into the role of leading transportation specifically, but wanted to give an update to the board so you can kind of see where we are in multiple fronts, not just school buses.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Dr. White, board members, good morning.
Morning.
So we felt like with the last board's done a fantastic job stepping in. You know, Mr. McGinnis was running that department for a long time, and Mr. Gore's been on his own for the second semester here, and not only taking on a large department that on a daily basis, there's so many things going on, getting our school to our schools, our kids safely and efficiently. Not only is that a task, he also has made a transition from our old software, which that company was going out of business. So now we had to incorporate a new software routing system in about 6 months, which usually takes about a year to do. But that training's been going on, and his staff's doing a great job, and he's leading that department very well. We wanted to give you updates on, we're going to continue. Is that a push? He's also looking at new ways of doing things with a reservation system that is in place and is probably going to roll out today. So he'll go over that. But a lot of good things going on in transportation, and we felt like today was a good time to address that. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gore, and I'll step in occasionally, but he has the details.
Welcome, Mr. Gore.
Good morning. In the department, discuss some challenges, and then also just offer a preview of where we're trying to move as a department as a whole. I've enjoyed the past 8 months. I've learned a lot. Mr. McKinnis, my predecessor, taught me a lot. But we have a great team down there, so just want to highlight where we're headed. So I always like to start with the positive, as Mr. Chambers alluded to. we've made great strides in updating our fleet. So just some general numbers. In our entire fleet, we have 224 buses. Approximately every day there's 151 on the road. That's our primary fleet. We hold about 73 in reserve in case there are breakdowns, accidents, inspections. We have to bring our buses in every 30 days to inspect them, make sure they're roadworthy, and we document that for the state. So when those come in for inspection, we put a reserve bus out there on the road while it's in the shop. As you can see, the north end is obviously our biggest with 101 buses. Our primary fleet, we have 80. We still have 3 that are non-air conditioned buses in the primary fleet. We hope to alleviate that with this next bus order. But what we do to offset that is we look at route distance. And so we try to find the shortest routes. I believe one is Bob Sykes, Davidson, and maybe another Bob Sykes route. But we condense those routes so students are not on the bus for extended periods of time without AC. Niceville, you can see we have 51 buses. In the south end, we have 72. And as you can see, since 2021, we have ordered over 100 buses, and they have been delivered as well. All right, now some of the challenges. Staffing, it is a challenge for us. As you can see, we still are dealing with a shortage of drivers. Obviously, that was triggered with the COVID pandemic, so we're still struggling to get back on par with that. Crestview, and I'll have to forgive my eyesight, I overestimate my youth. So we have 57 drivers up in Crestview. So currently we have 7 routes that are not filled. And so what we do, and in collaboration with the union, which we appreciate them working with us, we do have 20 non-transportation personnel driving. So you're talking about football coaches, regular coaches, teachers. They step in and fill those gaps for us. But with those 20 additional personnel, we're still 7 drivers short, and that's if we're fully staffed. Okay, so where it can get a little hairy in the mornings is if you're 7 routes short with everybody showing up to work, and then at 4:30 in the morning somebody calls in sick, somebody has a car breakdown, that can cause a domino effect on some routes, and trying to build it while you drive it almost, to borrow a little metaphor. So Niceville, we have 23 drivers. We currently have 8 routes that are currently not filled. And then Fort Walton, we have 34 drivers with 7 currently not filled. So again, the effects, what we do to offset that is we'll consolidate routes. You may hear the term double run. That's kind of the dreaded term, where a bus has to go out and do a run, come back to the school, and pick up a second run. That typically happens when we are short-staffed and we have multiple folks calling out. A lot of times I'll go cover the phone in an office, whoever's hurting the most, because we may have all office personnel out driving, so that way we have phone coverage and communication with parents.
Dr. White, I have a question for Mr. Gore regarding transportation itself as far as the bus routes. So, you talked about double fill and, double runs and things like that. The 3 buses that didn't have air conditioning, typically less than 30.
Zone. I would say when you get into Crestview, you're probably looking at about 45 minutes to an hour. Now, if you're ranging out to the county line, depending on traffic, of course, everybody that has driven through Crestview at 3 o'clock in the afternoon knows it can get a little dicey. But we try to keep them around 45 minutes, hour max. So,
does this new software provide for parent notification, or is there some mechanism that we use to do that?
Dr. White's still in my thunder. He's always
okay. Sorry.
But short answer is yes, but I'll elaborate a little bit briefly. We do have software called Bus Bulletin that we can send out notifications to parents and schools. The downside to that is they have to voluntarily go sign up for that.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and so part of an initiative is we've transitioned to Thrill Share.
Okay.
So we will not be renewing Bus Bulletin next year.
Okay.
We're going to use Thrill Share, which we can notify parents on if their student is assigned to a route.
Okay.
We can put.
Good.
They do not have to sign up.
Okay.
So now we can hit all of them in one time.
That's
So-
great. Thank you.
And just for the board, the Thrill Share, that's the call-out system, that's the text system. So now it's a part of that as opposed to a separate entity.
Good, good. All right, good job.
So some of the effects of staffing, just we have consolidated routes, which can lead to longer run times.
Right.
You may have 1.5 routes on a bus versus just the one. We do stagger shifts in the office, so our coverage, we have folks coming on site 4:30 in the morning, and they're there till about 5:30 in the afternoon till our buses get back. That's to ensure communication with parents. If there's an issue, mechanical issue with the bus, we have folks on site to help get it going, or not days that are not issues. But I will say everybody has that can-do attitude, and so without them, we would be in much worse shape. So.
And to that point, so you go up to a bus barn and you'll see the secretary personnel in there answering phones and doing their business. You see the route coordinators leading what's going on. You walk out, you see the mechanics. You walk out, you see bus drivers coming. And it's just, when you say the team effort, it's just amazing to see all of those different pieces working together. Many times we think of bus drivers, but there's so many folks who are part of transportation being successful, and just wanted to share that.
So in terms of trying to attract new, so there's some community events this year, and actually some of the drivers approached me and said, hey, we'd love to get in some of these, community parades, and there's an event called Touch a Truck. So we try to become visible in the community. We'll take information about working for the school district when we go out there, just information on the department. So we're trying to have a bigger presence in the community. Obviously, job fairs, we attend those. We've coordinated with our communications department on a few social media posts. We do have sign-on bonuses and attendance bonuses, and I guess attendance is more of a retention criteria. But so we are having some internal discussions about rebranding some of our advertisements. I'm not a great designer, so I'm having some folks that have a more creative mind taking a look at that, but we are working on rebranding for next year and over the summer. Obviously, over the summer, we'll have more of a hiring walk-in, and so timing of that's kind of critical when we start making that push. So,
Mr. Gore, what's the
Yes.
current sign-on bonus?
it's $2,400 if we don't need to train you at all. So if you come in with your CDL, and we pay that out in increments, so we don't want to give somebody $2,400 and they
Sure.
walk out in a month. So,
Right,
so.
right.
In terms of retaining our current personnel, so we try to collaborate with our union counterparts, Ms. Appleberg, Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong and I, we try to talk fairly regular. I consider them positives. We always try to have a good problem-solving mentality. Monthly, we try to meet with our local site reps just to kind of gauge the temperature, see if there are any issues that we need to work on to try to improve the work environment. I'll say if we cannot pay them significantly more, we try to make the work environment better and support them when we find an issue. We try to jump on it quickly so a minor issue doesn't become a big issue. Our ESE department, we collaborate. Ms. Ard's department, Ms. McLean is very supportive when we have issues with students on buses, and there are some wild ones. They're quick to respond, to offer support for the drivers because they can get frustrated when students are, acting in a unruly manner. So giving us strategies and ways to help provide better support to those folks out on the road. This is just a visual. I thought it was interesting when I was looking at the number of buses. So if you happen to hear calls about why are the buses late or why can't we get a bus for a field trip on this day and this time, as you can see historically, this is a 6-year look at the historical number of buses that we've had on the road in Okaloosa County. So from 2018-19, we had 199 approximately, and we're now down to 151. So you've seen a reduction of about 48 buses on the road over that span of time.
Mr. Gore, is that just because people are choosing not to ride the bus, or just because we don't have enough bus drivers?
It's going to be. So if you look at 2019-20, you can see that was the COVID year, and I think that was a big impetus for when we lost quite a few. And so what we consider full staff is in past practice, we would have 2 to 3 drivers come in the morning, and we call them sub-drivers. So if somebody called out sick, somebody had a breakdown, whatever, we had a reserve driver that could go run that route, you know. And so you've seen a combination of just fewer folks wanting to drive and the retention of drivers. I think the driver workforce, the age, a lot of them are entering retirement age, and so we're working to replenish that supply. So
let me comment on this. This is an important slide because we have those bus drivers budgeted for. So if we could hire the additional bus drivers, we would add those routes. So it's significant for parents and the schools to understand that's drastic in that amount of time. So we would hire the drivers if we had them.
Do we know, Mr. Gore, I'm going to jump back to the previous slide. What are we paying per hour for bus drivers?
So $16.87, if I remember off the top of my head. Is that correct, Patrick? I'm trying to remember. But it's $16.87 off the top of my head. So,
oh, go ahead.
Which also would have to throw in the benefits there too. So that would
correct.
probably.
That is correct.
And
sometimes it is hard to compare hourly wage. Sometimes it is apple to oranges across districts.
Sure.
So I'm always hesitant to talk about, you know, hourly rate and,
sure.
You know, I mean, I have my personal opinion on that, so I'll reserve that for another time. So.
Well, my challenge when I was running for this office was a lot of folks approached me and said, you know, the kids are on the buses for too long. We need more bus drivers. We need more bus drivers. And so, you know, you start digging into the issue and you find out there are a lot of reasons why we're struggling. A portion of it is we also have to recruit in an environment where Walton County pays them more. And I understand why Walton County is able to do that, because we have an apple and they have an orange from the amount of students and the size of what we collect. So the slice for ad valorem every year, so they're able to spread out more money across fewer kids. So we're fighting that to a degree. So that kind of puts us in a bind on how do we really throw more money at the problem if that's really going to. I also got the understanding that the environment on the school buses can be very, very challenging for these drivers, because not only are you driving, are perhaps amplified even more with a group full of kids and they got earbuds in and they're not listening and you're trying to keep everybody safe, you know. So I wonder if there is any room for improvement from a policy standpoint for this board to be able to intervene, to give more power if there is something we're not doing to make the environment on that school bus a little bit better, so that if we can't pay them more, at least these drivers understand that they're not going to just go into an absolute zoo every single day and then like, listen, hey, listen, you can't referee any of this stuff because we're worried about X, Y, and Z. That's just sort of the environment, and I get that is more than probably in your bailiwick, but it's something I...
Absolutely, and some of the conversations I have, and I think you hit the nail on the head with drivers, and certain routes are more challenging than others, okay? And having the school background versus this side of the house, I'll say at a school you have an advantage of you have some more support system, more common, but it means there. You have a little more real estate to work with. You're not trying to drive. So you are out on an island, literally, sometimes. It's 30 minutes to get there, or their help is on the way. Right. And so I've been dealing with those on a kind of a case-by-case, school-by-school basis, and working with administrators and school administrators to get some more support. And they've been responsive. They have. We want to zap this kid. It's about the safety of the other students on the bus is how I approach it. If you have a student or two that's disrupting the entire bus, I would rather fight that battle with those 2 students than have an accident and 50 students are in a bad spot. So, and that's kind of the mindset that I approach that with.
Thanks.
I'm going to follow up on that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I just saw him change the slide, so I was going to.
Nope, I can go back.
No, that's fine. System, I think that's helped with the driver being able to, I mean, back in the day, it was like, don't make me stop this bus kind of thing.
Right.
Because they couldn't communicate. So that's helped. So they can see and do that. Plus, we do have the cameras
Yes, yes,
right?
ma'am. We
So,
do.
so parents are aware that we have that. And then we still have, do we still have
Allocate those when a hot spot pops up. We will allocate a monitor. Now, some consistently have a monitor on the routes we know that they need more support. But there is a rotation, not a fixed rotation, but we'll rotate them on an as-needed basis.
Right.
So they're not guaranteed one every single day.
But the longer routes, you tend to put them on that, right? So that you have somebody, if you can.
I will say maybe not necessarily longer, but maybe more of the routes where we have issues with student behavior. We will assign a monitor for that route.
And Mr. Superintendent, we have things, a code of conduct for students that's not only for the classroom, but for the bus too. And we go
the bus
through
stop.
a matrix and all that to make sure. So if there's discipline problems, it gets taken back to the school and,
Correct.
and we go through that. So
And Mr. Gore has done a good job, and it's one of the things that we talked about him coming into this position was ensuring that Mr. Gore take an active role, communicate partnership and how we handle disciplinary situations on the school bus. I think as we know, I can think back to when I rode a school bus, and if any of you rode a school buses can be interesting at times. And so I think that communication with the transportation department and schools being on the same page is critical.
and we get that information out to the parent, correct?
Which part?
About the conduct, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's on the bus.
Schools communicate that.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So Mr. Gore, my question was regarding the previous slide. In a little more detail and looking at, it looks like our fleet's going down, and I guess that would make sense if the number of riders was going down, but they may not have.
Yep.
So that would be something useful to have
Sure.
for me.
Sure, we can
All
get
right.
that for you. That's
Okay,
not
very
a
good.
problem.
Thank you.
All right, so route development, we're approaching route development season. So we have approximately 770 routes. So we do 385 in the morning, 385 in the afternoon, just to split it down the middle. So over the summer, how we develop routes is we use historical ridership numbers. And then we also bring in folks over the summer to evaluate the routes. So we'll look at ridership and say, okay, this is the traditional route, this is who rode it last year, and we'll circle back to the reservation system in a second. So over the summer, we'll also develop routes and bring in our route evaluators. So we pay folks to actually come in and drive the routes. Software is great. I think technology is great, but there's no substitution for boots on the ground, in my opinion, because software may not know that you can't make that left turn at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or there's a low-hanging tree limb, whatever it may be. So we look at safety and efficiency, safety being the primary. The first 2 weeks of school, there's always surprises. Somebody may pop up that we didn't know was going to ride. And so what we typically do every year is for the first 2 weeks, we will not adjust the route. And the reason we do that is if we have an issue on Monday, let's say the first day of school, and then we try to adjust it on Tuesday, and then we need to adjust it again on Wednesday, you're in a constant state of flux on your stops and your stop times. So we kind of lock them for 2 weeks. We let the dust settle, and then we can be more strategic in our communication to parents and our changes. If you're changing with something still in flux, it's like fighting a Rubik's Cube that's rotating. So we let the dust settle. That way we could be more strategic on how we communicate. So proactive versus reactive. So Dr. White, this is going to lead into your question. So a new initiative and the direction we're headed is our reservation system, which is going to allow us to be more proactive in our routing. And what we're asking parents to do is, one, tell us if you're going to need transportation next year, if you don't, or if you're not. And if the answer is no, we're going to select no, submit, and then we're good to go. If you are going to need transportation, our past practice has been we go historical ridership, we drive around the first day, we pick up whoever's on the bus, okay? Which can lead to overcrowded buses or routes that need to have somebody come back in and fill in on the back side of it. So trying to collect data on the front end so we can plan our routes a little more efficiently. Is it going to solve every single problem the first week? Absolutely not. But the goal is to greatly reduce and help us make better decisions on the front end, so our adjustments are less on the back end also. So this is just an example of the form that we're asking parents to fill out. It's through their Focus Parent Portal account, which should be going live today. It has historical ridership so far. So this is just another screenshot of the form. We asked them to enter their address, where their student would be picked up in the morning and dropped off in the afternoon. And also there's a box at the bottom if there's additional information we might need to know. Sometimes a student may go to grandma's house on Wednesday, every Wednesday. That's something that we need to know, primarily for when we have a sub driver. So if the regular driver's on that bus and they know that Susie's going to grandma's house every day, it's not a problem. But when there's a new driver on there and he doesn't know where grandma's house is, that's when we have our issues, and that's when we get our phone calls. So
And this is a one-time form, is that correct?
one-time form,
Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
it's not something that parents would use to change the method of transportation.
No, no, sir.
This is a one-time, it's done, and then if they're gonna do that, there's another procedure likely at the school on how
Yes.
they do that.
Yes.
Okay.
If they need to change their physical address, contact information, things like that goes through the school.
Right.
This is strictly for your
All right.
transportation pickup.
Yeah, I was
and drop
talking
off.
about with transportation in lieu of their normal way.
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
That
That
they
would go through the
still
school.
handle that the way they do through the school, not via this.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Mr.
So,
Gore, go back one sheet.
Yep.
And so this is the form. One page, right?
Yes.
And then what percent, approximately, what percent of families have additional requests for transportation?
In terms of, like.
Not 4, 5, 6 slots on this
Correct,
form.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So this kind of leads us to where we're headed as a department. Okay, so we collect all this data. That's great. Okay, what do we do with it now? Okay. So we were notified in November. We were with a current software vendor. Okay, and they notified us that, hey, we're going to do away with our routing software. Okay, it's going away. So we had to start scrambling. And we started evaluating different vendors, and so we did settle on one called TransFinder. So once we collect our reservation data in Focus, okay, we can feed that into TransFinder. Okay, that helps us build capacity on buses. How many buses do we need to allocate to a school, to a route? Do we need to take stops off of a route and adjust? And so what you see in front of you is just an outward-facing view of what parents will see in the public. So we're not live yet. We've not put this out to the public. This is just what it will look like once we're there. We're going to finish out this school year with our current vendor, okay? So there's not a change for parents with 3 weeks to go in the school year. But once we close out this year, this will be the new look of how parents can look up their attendance zone or where their bus stop is going to be for next year, okay? This is Highlands County. They're actually live with it. So very similar functionality to what our parents have now. In the top left-hand corner, you can type in the address of where you live. It'll show you the attendance zones for is located, and it's hard to, I couldn't scroll in too far without making it too fuzzy. But that blue circle would actually be the address, and then the green plus, orange plus, that's actually where the stops will be located. So that parents can zoom in to see exactly where their stop will be located. It also tells them on the left-hand side the location as well as the pickup and drop-off times. So that is the primarily most used function for our parents, is where is my bus stop at. Now, Dr. White, to circle back to your question, can we notify parents through this? They do have an app that you can download. The caution on that, while we're not rolling that out right now, is you have to sign up. You have to put in an email. You have to sign up. So that takes us back to our bus bulletin issue. So
What does the app do? Is it tell them where the bus is, or?
So you can push out notifications. So if there's a late bus, you can push out that notification. multi-year down the road, you can let parents know where's the bus. Wow. Has your student checked in on the bus?
Yep.
Have they?
We're not there yet, right?
This year is kind of laying the foundation to build the house, and so we're going to just keep adding to it as we go. So that's the long-term goal.
Well, having a kindergartner grandchild riding the bus, I have some interest.
We'll get them there safe. So.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for your time.
I have the question, Mr. Gore. What is it used to be it had to be under, was it?
Lucid school district policy, or is that a state statute?
That's state FTE.
And Dr. White, if I can just shout out to Mr. Gore. I know Mr. Meyer's probably you're going to have to buy him lunch. You don't have to buy me lunch because when you were appointed earlier in the year, you know, it was always, Mr. Chambers has always given us the latitude to reach out to people instead of going right through him to the source. We knew Mr. McGinnis was retiring to be in my neighborhood, and you know, I think that you did a great job of handling that professionally. I was really impressed with the fact that you contacted the parent right away after I, you know, told you the situation. Both of us even went out and we mapped it out ourselves just to make sure we were, you know, on doing the right thing. And I just appreciate the fact that you took that and you took a situation that, you know, of course, we all know the first week of school, we all get bombed handling that. And so far, anytime I've called you, you've been very professional, and you've taken the situations and made them positive. So I think that's a good thing for you. And I know that's going out throughout your department. And I know a couple of months ago, Mr. Chambers and myself and Mr. Meyer, we had the chance to go to the North Transportation. And, you know, I think everybody that was there that day was, you know, one, they appreciated us being there, but we also found out that school supplies, what is traditional crowns, pencils, paper, and all that in transportation. And that's the questions we were getting, you know, about things like that, how we can help them as a board and as a district make their jobs, you know, better situated and all that. So good job so far.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention just the true team that is in the department. You know, you have our route coordinators, Ms. Berry, Ms. Jinks, Ms. Ruskowski, shop foreman, Mr. Banks, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Bell, the drivers, the assistant. I mean, I could go on for hours about what they do day in and day out. And I say that because their effort and their professionalism, that frees me up to take on initiatives like software reservation systems. So they're really in the trenches, you know, fighting the back, some improvements, and be a little more innovative to help make their jobs easier and hopefully better down the road. And that's the ultimate goal. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gore. All right, Superintendent, anything else?
All right, the last update, and this comes from a group who oftentimes is behind the scenes, but they do a great job of communication with our families, with our school district employees, and with the community as a whole, and that's our communications department. And I wanted Mrs. Card and Mrs. Demers just to share.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Hillary Demers, as most of you know, but online they may not. Digital media and communications specialist. If you see me out and about, I'll just tell you communications specialist. And
I'm Catherine Card. I'm the public information officer, and happy to be here almost 3 years in, so in this new role, so really enjoying it.
Yep. And we're going to start with Catherine and her public information office duties.
Okay, so in a nutshell, at national level, those of us that follow politics in the news, probably my role is very close to what the White House press secretary does. I'm the point of contact for media, asking questions. In fact, I just got an email from Channel 3 wanting to interview and talk about our mental health program for the school district. So it's just having that two-way line of communication where it's very consistent, where day-to-day I'm handling media inquiries, setting up interviews, helping promote the achievements of our students and our teachers, our ribbon cuttings, the groundbreaking ceremony, those are things being very strategic and pushing that out to all of our media, which we've got a pretty healthy list from covering Pensacola all the way up through Mobile to Panama City, where we have multiple entities from broadcast, TV, and radio. So they are totally looped in into what we are doing as a school district. We're also pushing out information. Hillary talked more about like newsletters and such, but that media distribution, a lot of times where there's like, hey, we would love for, this commissioner to come to this event. So it's been a really great way for them to know what is happening as a district and being able to plan accordingly to be involved and sharing in the good news of what's happening in Okaloosa schools.
Catherine has been a great addition to the team. She helps me with not only getting that information out that our community may not have seen to begin with, because we're pushing it out on our channels, but to get it on not only local but national news is a great addition to our district, because we have a lot of great things going on. She also helps me coordinate my efforts. So I help with marketing not only all of the departments within the district, but also all of the schools. I'm here as a phone call away to help them, and she does a fantastic job, but I'm just kind of the local that can help with little things and help answer questions for our principals and webmasters. We also, like Catherine mentioned, do the call outs. We give out good news and sometimes some alerts as far as, informing our parents and our staff of things that are going on in our schools or to prepare for. About a year ago, we developed a weather communication plan that is a detailed outline of what everybody, senior staff, Catherine, myself, our backups, and their backups.
Many layers.
Case, yes. There's a plan for almost anything, and if there's not, so while I'm writing scripts, she and our senior staff are calling people in the community to update them, let them know this is coming, so especially you guys are not blindsided by information. Right. We can make sure that you guys are able to field questions as well with the correct information. Right. We want the correct information. I'm also big on customer service. We have our school climate survey. Catherine and I have a lot of big ideas coming that we hope to get on the ground in August or within the next school year to not only assist our students, our staff, our parents. They need to feel like they are welcome in the district. I hope that they already do. Have a voice. So customer service is big there. And then we have a few platforms that I manage. We have our website, which is also our call out system. So Apogee runs ThrillShare, which is call outs and website. Each of the school districts has a website, and then like Okaloosa Public Schools Foundation, our charters have some entities within that, so we communicate with them on those things and field any questions they have.
Yep. And then on a pretty regular basis, I think we've already hit like the 80 mark on the press releases, so there is growth. We had about 75 last year. We'll surpass 80, this year, and being able to push that information out. Also sharing that, some of the things that Hillary was saying about the messaging, it's really important for us to have the one voice. I think we do a very good job of that. It's been great having the accessibility to, the superintendent, our senior leadership, also with Danny Dean and the Office of Safe Schools. We're not going to be immune. There's going to be things we all know is going to happen, and being able to get ahead of that and running the narrative, I think that helps greatly just to diffuse any of the misinformation that's going on. And of course, we're not going to get away with it 100% of the time, but I think we do a very solid job in ensuring that our one voice, our messaging is getting out so the public understands what the accurate.
All of us, with the exception of Brett Heinley, who's smart, we have presence on social media, and we can see how terrible, how terrible it is. From just, it's like social media is a manure spreader, and I'm telling you, it has outlasted its utility in my opinion, but it's real, it's out there, and we have to deal with it. I just, in my short time period on this board, have been on the receiving end of just watching how quickly, just at a viral pace, just bad information gets put out there, just snippets of things. It is such a challenge to stay in front of, and I can tell you guys how much I've appreciated the communication that you have given me and probably similar to other board members, so that when I get jumped in the line at the bank with somebody saying such and such has happened at the middle school, don't you know, I'm usually ready to be able to disarm, diffuse, calm down, and redirect. And that has been very, very valuable. But you guys have done a really, really good job in that regard, at least with my experience with you guys. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you for that.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it, and you all have all been very gracious every time I've called you. You've always taken my calls. We are receiving it. And also, thanks to like our strategic partners. I mean, not too long ago, we had a tragedy of losing, an employee, outside there at Edwin's, and luckily between the sheriff's office, the Fort Walton Beach Police Department, when they're sending out the messaging, they're very gracious in including quotes from the superintendent, or having, again, that one voice where it's across the board. People are seeing the same information. I think with our strategic partners, that's been important too. And even our chambers, they've been great partner in terms of sharing all of our information, but from at that higher level of working with the school district to ensure that, we're sharing accurate information. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
We ready? Okay. I think the computer is excited.
So just wanted to make sure that we haven't done this with the communications department so far. Just wanted to share just the work that they do, and there's so much behind the scenes and more that they take care of. Appreciate Mr. Spolsky being over that department, and you also heard the name Danny Dean and others who play a role. So just to very much appreciate the coordination. And we're not always perfect, but we try to get out the right information at the right time to be able to communicate effectively with folks.
Yes, and you really have a vital role, and I appreciate everything you do. Having a little bit of background in some of that, I know what that takes, and I want to congratulate you on the Sunspro Award. I know a little about the state. They look at those awards so that other districts look to that, and I'm sure we'll be looking at our product and seeing all that. So congratulations, and appreciate everything you do, and responding to us. I know I call you. Did you see? And so we're on that social media stuff, right, Ms. Card? Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you, ladies. You do a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would echo the same thing. And I know when Ms. Card got hired, I thank Mr. Horton for all that he did for our district. But I remember telling the superintendent, we can't keep relying on Mr. Horton to do the job of something that's as vital as a public information officer, and then also having a media specialist to help tell the story of our district. And I would say since this team's been put in place, y'all have done a remarkable job of not only telling the positive story, because we are in competition. And I've said this since the voucher program, all the parental rights things have come out, that we are in competition, and we have to show off all the good things that we have to offer. And y'all have done an amazing job with that. And I remember coming back from an FSBA conference and seeing Sunspro, doing all these awards. And I remember asking Catherine, hey, we need to get you a part of Sunspro here, like that. And we eventually, got in contact with somebody over there, and I'm glad to see that Sunspro recognizes that we have an awesome team here, and that made my heart feel good that Sunspro, recognized our district. But I will also say that for those that follow me on Facebook, I don't always give credit, but I have to say to Hillary, thank you so very much, because she does take some good pictures with us board members, and she'll send them to me and say, hey, use these. And of course, I have to wait for her to make her post before I'll do my post, but she does a good job of finding our good side, so I appreciate that. So.
It was we need to keep that tradition going. I will tell you that they were blown away by the budget numbers. When they started asking about money, they were like, wow. Like most of the public, really. I mean, it's eye-opening. Number 2, Mr. Gore, kudos to you. It sounds like you're in triage every morning when you roll in there. Thank goodness for summer, right? And it looks like your LIMFAC is employees. If we can solve that problem, it will make your job and your task a whole lot better. But I heard that when you guys got together and started this as a actual job and not an add-on to someone else's, you elevated the whole district, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate those polite calls about did I RSVP to something. So I do appreciate that. Shout out to Richard Hernandez, the drama theater director at Niceville High School. I attended Hello Dolly this past weekend. Tremendous. I mean, that was quite the show. I was pleasantly surprised. The talent it was just a great event. Let's see, last but not least, I have 2 questions for you due to Mr. Destin. Today is the 12th. Who was the 12th?
of July.
He did? I did not know that.
Yep,
Okay.
right after they did the ribbon cutting, whatever, for the Washington Monument, they had a big picnic, and he died from food poisoning.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
There you go.
I might debate that a little bit. Okay, but what's 12, Mr. Destin, what's 12 plus 31?
Oh,
This public math for you, lawyer.
I would say maybe somewhere in the 40s, maybe 43.
43, okay. So as you questioned, anything past 31. So who was the 43rd president of the United States?
Let's see. Would that be, I think that would probably be Bill Clinton, right?
You are so close, but...
George Bush.
Yes.
You'd find it interesting at the last roundtable discussion, I peppered Mr. Heinley. I said, who's the 11th? Who's the 18th? Who's the 20th? He got them all right.
Yeah.
Got them all right.
Yeah. Good.
But like Principal Morello said, he could say the wrong thing and nobody knew.
That's right. All
Yeah.
right. All right, Ms. Ivanchek.
Yes. Yes, the roundtable, it's just fabulous. It's I wish everybody had an opportunity to meet with those students. That you come out just energized and very interesting, and we do that, and I think it's great. All right, couple of things from, speaking of the my school roundtable, let's talk about Baker a little bit. They just came back from state track and field, where the girls 4x100 relay broke a school record and placed. And then Will Sloan, who's only a sophomore, got a silver medal for javelin throwing, 175 feet. So he's in the top 15 javelin throwers in the state and all grades, and he's just a sophomore. So we're going to see good things from Will Sloan. So congratulations to the Baker workshop at Crestview High School, and that went very well. That was back on May 2nd. And I'm talking about getting donations and so forth. Those are the official ones where the people write the checks, but our community does so much, like on this, so many volunteer sponsors for food and things that, that aren't official donations that don't go down, and appreciate all those people who came out to work those booths and help those students learn how to buy a car, all those other things that were so important. So that went a 2-day career exploration field trip where they went to OTC and Career Source Okaloosa Walton, and they got to do hands-on. It was like, back in middle school, they called it the wheel, where you got to go a little bit through a bunch of things. So they got to do that with building trades and nursing and culinary arts and all that, where these students got to get a little bit of time over a 2-day period in all of those. And I think that's wonderful. Plus, wonderful things with the foundation going on like that. So good things. Also, want to appreciate the community and others who came through last week for Teacher Week. I saw on social media big things coming out of the schools for recognizing the teachers, whether it was a breakfast or a lunch or bringing goodie bags or whatever it was. And very timely, as those teachers and students are so deep into high stakes testing, anything like that, I remember just makes you, feel a lot better when you're recognized, which ultimately helps our students. And having said that, I just want to wish all those students good luck as we continue testing. Like you said, I'm hearing some good things, but we just want them to hang in there. We know we're all getting towards that end of the school year. We're trying to, that summer is calling, but hang in there, stay focused, and do your best, and it'll go well. And then the next, what do we have, about less than 10 school days to graduations? And then we will have this one knocked out.
To the schools, Okaloosa Schools Foundation for the event at Crestview High School, and a shout out to Mike. He was there, making sure. I can't remember what he was doing.
He was doing the cars.
The cars. Oh yeah, that's right. They were trying to upsell them Corvettes.
That's right.
I will say that I had, and I know Mr. Vanchek, you were there a couple of years ago when we did that. And what a world of difference 2 years has made, considering now that we have financial literacy in the classrooms. And the majority of the students that were at the event, the students this go around, were definitely a lot more in tuned to what was important, what was their financial responsibilities, whereas the students before, not having that financial literacy class, I will say that they were very generous, but they realized that they couldn't survive on being generous, so they had to prioritize. But I say the students this go around definitely have had that financial literacy driven into them, because they were very mindful of what they were spending on, and that's why there was no Corvettes sold this go around, considering 2 years ago there was quite a few Corvettes. Also, we talk about Teacher Appreciation Week. I just say that I'm glad they get a week, but we know that in education every day is an appreciation for all of our teachers, administrators, anybody that works in the school district. I will just say that it was cool to be able to go into classrooms last week and just talk to teachers. And like Mr. Vanchek did say, just them, us going in and just saying thank you, a lot more, but they do it because they love it. And you can see that when you go into their classrooms, that they love what they do and the kids respond. And that's why I believe we have the best teachers in all of the state of Florida, if not across the country. We do have some great teachers out there. So it was nice to be able to do that. And going to the round table, I agree that, I'm glad that we started this about 6 years ago. Of course, when we do Crestview, we also have the Laurel Hill students join us, and every meeting before has that. We started at 8:30, and I think Catherine and Hillary over there were like, hey, it's like almost 11 o'clock. That's how intense it was. But they had so many great questions, and I agree with the superintendent that our future is secure with the amount of leaders that we had. They asked great questions, and even one student that was at the event last year saw something that she brought up come to fruition because of the school board and the superintendent. We were able to get new weight equipment for Laurel Hill School, knowing that the people who are making decisions for them, truly hear their voices. And I would just challenge our lawmakers in Tallahassee, maybe go to some schools and do some roundtables with the students. And I guarantee you, they would probably help shape education policy a lot better than listening to the adults sometimes. So I would just say that thank you, Mr. Chambers. This is something we will continue for at least next 3 years. And with that, we also have graduation, and the first one is Richburg. And Mr. Desson, I was informed we do have one. So there is one student that will be graduating, and knowing Richburg, they're going to make it a grand event for this one student. It will be at 10 o'clock, and then, of course, the following week we'll have everybody. So, and I can say on let's see, May 23rd. That last student across Crestview stage will walk across, and once again we'll commence with another great graduating class, and our future is well at hand with that last student walking off for the entire district. So looking forward to that. Hopefully no rain. Thank you, Dr. White.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Mr. Destin.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to say we're receiving not only senior awards, but academic awards. I will tell you that is a special school. That is a really, really neat school. It is so small, but everybody knows everybody. I mean, in a very intimate way. And it just harkens back to like a very heartwarming period in time that we just don't see very much anymore. So I've been to other senior award ceremonies, and they don't feed you, they don't even give you a bottle of water. But this one, they rolled out the whole red carpet for us. We had some great country cooking. So if you have the time, go up to Laurel Hill next year because it's worth it. That was a really great thing to experience. I appreciate, like I said, Ms. Martello and Tim for inviting me. I know that we had at our last regular meeting, Ms. Brownsberger brought the students from the Fort Walton Beach speech and debate team to not perform, but to advocate and persuade us. And it was a great experience. And afterwards in the parking lot, I said, when's your next competition in the fall? Can I come watch? He said, debate on the 10th, which was this Saturday. And so I got the opportunity to go watch over 100 kids, 13 schools. She is growing that program leaps and bounds. And to kind of jump off of what Tim has said about students and what the superintendent said about our young people, and when content just rotting everybody's brains, well, that's not the case with these students. I'm telling you, they are whip smart. They are banging on all cylinders. It was very heartening to see, and that's happened right here in Okaloosa County. So a shout out to those guys. That was a heck of a cool event. And then lastly, as I was walking in the event, and I'm not trying to get Mr. McElroy to buy, with his maintenance guys cleaning up a roof leak. We've been struggling to get the leaks fixed on the roofs all over the district, and they're working really hard. But as soon as the rain quit, you saw how hard it was on Friday and Saturday morning. As soon as the weather broke, they were on the roof on a Saturday cleaning up. And so just a continued thank you to the maintenance guys trying to make sure that our facilities keep up. It's the same thing we were saying in January. We had that once in 100 years weekends when it has to happen, because that's when it has to happen sometimes. And so I was really pleased when I was walking in and I saw those guys. They were making sure that stuff was getting taken care of on a Saturday morning within an hour of finally having the opportunity to do it. So Mr. McElroy, thanks to you and your guys. Really deeply appreciated. That's all I've got, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bryant.
Yeah, I do have one follow-up, and I appreciate the Laurel Hill shout-out, and I had it written down here, and it was on my left side. That's why I missed. Talked about their track and field and how we do have a track out there. It's not a regulation track, and I know the superintendent and staff are looking at how we can at least get it presentable to where they can train on it. But their track and field, this was their second year with track and field, and they actually had a student that went to state. This has been a long time coming for somebody from Laurel Hill to go to state track and field, and her name is Yana Dixon. She's also an outstanding basketball place in our book. She's still a champion, and she represented Laurel Hill with pride. And all the Facebook posts that I saw from Saturday, she was just really excited. She also did a video thanking everybody. But Yana Dixon did a great job of representing the smallest school with the biggest heart. So thank you, Dr.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, so that'll take us to section 14, public comment, and then we have adjournment. Is there anything else, Superintendent? Mr.